foot, and Paul, of course, got angry. He slapped the front of the car, and then the car backed up and ran over him and killed him.
The driver ran over Paul's foot. He banged on the bonnet. The driver backed up, reversed, and then ran over Paul.
Yeah, this was not an accident.
Ça a été un choc inimaginable.
It was an unimaginable shock. My whole body was shaking. Paul's mum, Nathalie Tisson, was told the next morning. Police said he'd been run over and crushed by a 2-ton SUV. The driver said it was an accident, but he's been charged with murder and is awaiting trial.
C'est monstrueux, tellement c'est énorme.
It's monstrous, it's so unbelievable, overwhelming. I tried to check the news, but I just couldn't do anything at all. I just sat there trembling. We were all stunned. We just couldn't believe it, the violence of it. We didn't want to believe it.
Au début, on veut pas y croire.
Violence was not part of his life. His friends told us Paul was the last person to get into an argument. He'd grown up in the countryside. He loved nature, his mum said, and first learned to ride in the mountains.
C'était quelqu'un de très joyeux, très pétillant, qui avait beaucoup d'humour.
He was a very happy and bubbly person. He had a lovely sense of humour and was always very gentle with the people around him. I never saw him in conflict with the people he loved. He was very intelligent, very sensitive. He was beautiful and so kind. He was so full of light.
C'était une lumière, en fait, vraiment.
She says it was when Paul moved to Paris he really got into cycling, even using his bike to move his furniture to his new apartment. But she was worried for him too.
À Paris, j'ai trouvé qu'il y avait une agressivité.
Indeed, in Paris, I found that there was an aggressiveness between bikes and cars. Drivers can be super aggressive. They just open their windows and insult you. It's also like some feel they're all-powerful. For some drivers, the car is the extension of their virility, and if anyone touches their car or hits the car, it's taken as a personal attack. I was afraid. I was afraid for him.
Et effectivement, j'avais peur. J'avais peur.
The tragic irony was that Paul was an active member of the cycling group Paris en Selle, Paris in the Saddle, which campaigns to have more bike lanes, safer junctions, more separation between bicycles and cars on the streets of Paris. Corentin is the group's spokesman and worked with Paul.
We all thought it could have been us. We have received thousands of testimonies from cyclists on how they have been victims of violence on the road in the past. Of course, you don't have drivers killing cyclists on purpose every day, but it's a scale, and it starts even from insults, but insults, accidents, and then murder is just the next step in the end.
What happened to Paul was extreme, but it resonated too because there's been a new kind of battle playing out daily on the streets of Paris. For the city has been undergoing a radical redesign to get Parisians cycling. It's put in a vast network of bike lanes, introduced new restrictions for cars. The number of cyclists has soared. But there have also been conflicts as drivers, cyclists and pedestrians try to navigate the new balance of power. So is Paris's plan working? Is this transformation the future for other major cities? This all might sound quite familiar to you. But I live in the Netherlands. Over the past 50 years, it's become a cycling paradise where there are segregated bike lanes and everything is organised and orderly. Paris is different. I went cycling with Corentin. Like there's motorcycles coming from everywhere, there's bikes going in all directions, the lights, it's almost like the lights may as well not be there because it doesn't matter what colour they are. It's a complete free-for-all. And this guy's going the wrong way on his bike. Like, how is this? How is this? Why is this happening like this? So we're cycling down a wide boulevard on a bike lane that's wide enough for us to travel 2 by 2. We have a separation created by the parked cars. So this is the
Someone
dream.
wants to pass. Yes, it's really one of the examples that we want to showcase because it's what we want to do all over the city.
Over the last decade, there's been unprecedented investment in cycling infrastructure. The latest stage is Plan Velo Act 2, totaling 250 million euros, which aims to make it possible to ride safely anywhere in Paris by 2026.
A few years ago, there was absolutely nothing here. Like, it feels completely different now. It's not perfect, but it's a lot safer than it was before.
Paris has more than 1,000 kilometres of bike lanes, but they come in all shapes and sizes. It can be confusing. Some are wide, separated from traffic. Some are narrow. Some just painted markings on roads. If cyclists do want to follow the rules, and from what we've seen, not all seem to, it's not always obvious what they are, and that can lead to hostility. So here we can keep going because it's green.
Yes.
There's a green bike, but this car is about to turn as well.
Yeah.
This is it's super confusing. I'm just going to go ahead of you to let the delivery driver. If you don't know the roads, you have to work it out as you go along, and that's confusing.
Here we just passed 3 intersections, 3 traffic signals. This one we have the same one as the cars. The previous one we had a special signal for bikes, and then the one before that there was no signal at all, so we had to follow the pedestrian light. But very few people know that law actually. So each intersection is different.
If I wasn't with you, I would have absolutely no clue how to ride here.
We try to ask the city to harmonize everything, but it costs a lot of money.
Junctions are the riskiest spots where confrontations often erupt. A week after Paul Vary's death, the cycling group Paris en Selle compiled a list of 200 dangerous intersections, which they say the city needs to fix now.
Yeah, you can come now.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
And now we've got pedestrians walking out across a red light.
I mean, that's Parisians in a nutshell.
Yeah,
So-
because I can't believe what I'm looking at here. It's just giving me heart palpitations. If you look over here, you've got cyclists coming down. They're trying to go straight ahead, and at the same time, there are cars trying to cut right across their path.
Yes.
You have no idea where that car is going to go.
Yeah, but I mean, those cars that turned, they had the right of way because they had the green lights. The bikes went through the red.
Oh, it's just chaos.
Well, I mean, nobody follows the rules, like the cars, the pedestrians, the bikes, nobody does. So at times it can be, In fact, it's the only place where I've been physically assaulted in Paris.
What happened?
I would say almost the same thing that happened to Paul. I got cut off by a car, tapped the side of the car, and the driver got off the car and tried to hit me. Thankfully, there were people to help, so nothing happened. But it shows the conflicts that can happen.
And that was here.
Yeah, it was here, right there.
Generally, Corentin feels much safer now, and that security is reflected in the cycling rates, which have doubled in a year. Now, more than 11% of trips in Paris are made by bicycle, compared to just 4% by car.
Well, there's a lot of things to enjoy actually. Cycling in Paris is freedom. Like most streets, you can go anywhere. You can take even small streets. You can take them both ways. It's much more simple than trying to find your way in a car. So we are lucky to be in one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and there's no better way to visit the city than by bike. Like you can see the buildings, the architecture, the historical sites. Yeah, there's no better way to get around the city.
While encouraging people to ride around these historic streets, Paris is also making it even harder to drive in the city. Hi, hello. Do you mind if I sit in the front? Parking spots have been cut by half. If you find a space, parking costs a fortune. They've created a low-emission zone. Speed limits have been reduced. Streets have been closed to cars. All the while, everyone else on the road seems to do what they like. So what's it like to be behind the wheel?
So someone just crossed the road without looking. And
You know you're blocking a bike lane right now.
yeah. It's okay, I'm watching. There is nobody. Okay, there is bike.
Reverse. Shami is a demure and mindful 24-year-old midwife, but is aware the streets of Paris can be a hostile environment.
Yeah, driving in Paris is like going to the war.
Going to war?
Yeah, like you have to be the main character, you know. Like, there is no rules.
Have you ever had any run-ins with cyclists? Not collisions, but arguments?
Yeah,